Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Simply Brilliant. I'm Phil Brilliant. It is Tuesday, March 24th, and I did that without looking at the calendar because I've already written it three times today, and I have my phone sitting right here. Hopefully, everybody is well, and I think it might get a little warmer today. I always make the joke that we all live in the Northeast because we like to have four seasons. We just don't want them all in one day, and we are experiencing that right now. But I did actually get some yard work done over the weekend. Not everything I needed to get done and not everything I wanted to get done, but that's just how things work out. So I'm going to jump in real quick because I got a couple of hot topics I want to touch upon and move on for the day. I do appreciate you all watching me. And I love the feedback I'm getting. Keep it coming. And also, if you can continue to share, because I'd like to pick up a bigger audience. I'm about 400 on my Simply Brilliant Facebook page, but it's also shared across other medias. It's also my YouTube channel, Simply Brilliant. And I will have an announcement coming out real soon. I'm very excited about that you may see and hear me on additional platforms. So I'm excited about that. But let's talk. We're talking Tom's River this morning, simply Tom's River, and simply where we are here at this moment. So, one, let's talk first affordable housing. Um, Nothing's really changed since last Thursday. What we know is that there was a extension request formally put in on March 12th, the day after the chaotic March 11th council meeting, though it referenced a March 6th meeting where the judge actually implied that more time might be needed and there was no opposition. Two important things. One, we have not seen a decision from Judge Gertner. We will keep to monitor that. When I say we, I monitor that at New Jersey courts. Anybody can set up an account and monitor any lawsuit. It's actually pretty interesting to look at things. And two, no builders have filed builder remedy lawsuits to date that I can see. So that's a good thing. We'll wait to see the judge's decision, but there should be work going on. I know I've talked to several councilmen, and I say men because there are men. There's only Lynn O'Toole, who's the woman. Have not talked to her, and basically, they're working behind the scenes amongst themselves, but cannot seem to get a sit down with Daniel Rodrick between 8 and 5. He doesn't seem to be available, and keep in mind too. I mean, I know that Councilman Bianchini is retired, but he has a full-time gig working, for the town and helping others. And, we all have lives. Councilman Bradley, Councilman Nivison, and Councilman Sikosi work during the day. So, to be able to, they give up their time to try to sit down and do work. They're in town hall. I can't, Councilman Coleman is retired. Councilwoman O'Toole, I can't speak for. And I believe Councilman Aber has a full-time job with Viola, however it's pronounced. So, again, you need to come together. This has to be a collaborative effort because if you read all the letters and you read all the texts, it says my plan, my plan, my plan. That's Daniel Roderick's plan. That's the one in limbo right now. We need to have our plan. Tom's River needs our plan for affordable housing to be able to move forward, and hopefully the parties can come together. While I was doing my updates and looking at things on New Jersey courts, I came across something that was interesting. I don't really know what the full intent is, but there is a lawsuit Daniel Roderick has filed against Middletown Township Board of Education. It has to do with his wrongful tenure charges, the fact he doesn't think he's been dismissed from Middletown Township. There's a lot of legalese, and again, not an attorney. And my joke is always, I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but it is interesting because there was paperwork that was filed, and it appears to have been, I think it was signed by the judge. Lawsuit is still going. However, a stipulation of dismissal without prejudice was filed by Daniel Roderick's attorney, none other than Donald Burke, that three specific dependents to be removed from the case. One is Archangel, Archangel. I'm probably butchering that, but I apologize. Strategy Group. Kevin Gohagan, sorry, Kevin, who is the former councilman here in Toms River, retired police officer in Toms River, and the owner operator of Silverton EMS that has been, really stymied by Daniel Roderick here in Toms River, and Art Gallagher is the third one. And Art Gallagher is a former public information officer for Toms River, a political strategist who's worked on many Toms River, Ocean County, Monmouth County, and outside county campaigns. And so they have been released or removed from the case. Without prejudice means they can be brought back into the case at a later time. It basically means the plaintiff, Daniel Rodrick, is not permanently giving up his claims for these three parties, but temporarily taking them out of the case. Um, there's no real information behind it. Uh, doesn't mean that the case is over by no means, because there are plenty of other defendants in this case. But we'll see how that plays out. Tonight, at 6 o'clock at Shogun, which is at the Bailey Golf Course, the Toms River owned Bailey and operated Bailey Golf Course. Daniel Rodrick will kick off his reelection campaign for mayor for 2027. I'm not quite sure if this is the earliest somebody has kicked off their campaign. Quite honestly, I have zero interest and I have not been invited. Just for the record, here's everybody else in Toms River has. Didn't get my invitation. I'm not hurt. But there's a lot of allegations and a lot of issues floating around, which will really be for the powers that be to decide. Whether the powers that be is New Jersey election enforcement, the Attorney General's office, the Ocean County Prosecutor's office, the local finance board, which is under the auspice of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, or the local Toms River ethics committee. And what is this surrounding? So Daniel Rodrick sent an email from his email address at Toms River Township to all of the employees, personally inviting them to hit this kickoff campaign fundraiser at no cost. But the fundraiser is being funded by somebody, and it's a political event, and he's using his Toms River Township email address. The people to RSVP to are Drew Chabot, who's the business administrator, and Maria Matarazzo, who is in code enforcement. I'm not quite sure her official title, so I don't want to butcher that. I think she's just like administrative assistant, nothing to downplay administrative assistant, but she is a Toms River Township employee. What happens here? So is this an alleged abuse by Rodrick using his email account for an invitation to campaign fundraisers? We've all seen it. The screenshots are clear that that's what he has done. He has targeted public employees. That could be potential coercion, implied pressure on them. If they don't show, what happens to them? And it's hard to determine the clear distribution because most of that is redacted, but that's something that is operable and should be disclosed. The addition is being held at Shogun Legacy, which is on municipal owned land. And I know many, many people have said there's been fundraisers there before. Is that a conflict? Someone's going to decide the answer to this. Now, I know there are nonprofit fundraisers there. I have heard that there have been other political fundraisers there. Actually, I believe I went to one last year. Was it last year? Or 2 years? No, it must have been last year for Jack Chittarelli. So there have been fundraisers that have been had there, but here's the mayor of Toms River. This is a property that has a lease with Toms River Township to run the restaurant. And so the question is, what is the relationship? Is it a quid pro quo? Is there payment not happening? These are all things that will be determined later on. Don't have the facts yet on that, but we know that this is happening. And then the other thing is, in my world, perceived conflict, perceived violations, I run to the hills. Daniel Rodrick doesn't necessarily do that. So is this a perceived ethics violation because you're using the office to influence and it has an appearance of impropriety? when it comes to ethics, that can be very broad and very flexible. It's not necessarily criminal, but the appearance alone may be sufficient to say that there's something wrong here. If it doesn't smell, what's this? The cheese doesn't smell good in Denmark or something like that. I'm not good with all those sayings. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But we know this is happening. And yesterday there was a post put up that basically showed all the people who gave him money in 2023, and he raised a lot of money. And people have said, why did these people give him money? So two things. If you look at the primary, he got very little money. He mortgaged his house and put that up to get himself, Coleman, Nivison, and O'Toole, because at that time Nivison was part of his team, elected him through the primary against Mayor Hill and Jerry Ambrosio at the time. Once he got through the primaries, he was the Republican candidate. So Republicans supported Republicans. This Republican, Phil Brilliant, did not support Dan Rodrick. And many people didn't because they had an idea of what he would be. I don't think anybody thought he would be what he has become. But Republicans support Republicans. So in that situation, they supported him and they gave him money to help him over the threshold. And inevitably, he did win. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see how the fundraiser goes. We'll see how much, and we'll know on April 15th how much money he actually raised because it's public reported information through New Jersey Elect. Tomorrow night, we have a council meeting. It is at 6:30 at Toms River Town Hall. The agenda came out like 5:40 last night. We saw it. That's Monday night. We know that there was a lot of debate back and forth. I had questioned several of the council people over the weekend and said, "Where's the agenda?" And they said, "We're trying." That's all I heard. Say it once, say it 100 times. The Toms River Township Clerk, Stephen Hensel, works for the council. He is to take direction from the council. He is to do as the council says. If you listen to Daniel Rodrick at meetings, he will tell you he controls everybody who works in town hall. That is not true. The clerk works for the council, and he is supposed to put the agenda up that is approved by the council president or 4 council members. That's what's in the code, and that's what's in the rules. He does not put anything on that agenda that has not been approved by the council president or 4 council members. If Daniel Rodrick, the mayor, gives him something, he must take it to Council President David Sikosi before it ends up on there. Now, we heard that did not happen at the last meeting, March 11th, because we heard that at the council meeting, even though the video is not posted. I was there. I heard it. So not sure all the delays here, but it is now up. It's relatively vanilla. There's a final reading of a vacating of roads over off of Route 37. There's a first reading relative to renewing the lease for Dockside or Marina to do leasing of kayak, launch, and associated amenities. That's a yearly thing. Really nothing else jumps at you here, except for the fact, to me, the one that does jump out is let her go down. There's a bunch of them on here. There's a lot of giving back performance guarantees, but the letter S, as in Sam, is authorizing to rescind the contract awarded to Ashland Contractors LLC for the boardwalk expansion, parking and pedestrian access improvement project, and award the contract to BlackRock Enterprise LLC, the next lowest responsible bidder, meeting all the bid specifications, for a contract of $4,321,500. Now, why is this important to me? This is important to me because on January 28th, a mere 2 months ago, on that agenda, the council approved awarding the contract to Ashland Contractors for $3,565,000. Okay. So 2 months ago, right? So just we're March now, January. 2 months ago, it was approved to Ashland Contractors, the lowest responsible bidder. And basically, when it comes up for approval, it's supposed to be vetted. The bids come in, they're announced publicly, here's what they are, and then you basically go and you do your due diligence. Is the bid compliant with the specs that were put out? Is the contractor a viable contractor? Can they meet all those different things? And then you give it to council. And so on January 28th, the council approved Ashland for $3,565,000. There were really no questions asked that night. Now, on March 11th, on the council agenda that was put out prior to the meeting on Friday, March 6th, letter F on that agenda was to rescind Ashland's contract and award it to BlackRock for $3,874,573.17 Okay. So $300,000 more than what Ashland had been awarded in January, but this was removed from the agenda and not voted on. 2 weeks later, we see it back on the agenda for an additional $500,000. Okay. So let's see, where are we? So we went on January 1st. Tell me I didn't close it. Here we go. We went from January 1st, 3.5 million, to November 11th, which was not voted on, 3.8 million. So we went up $300,000. And now we're going up a whole $500,000 tomorrow night to 4.3 million. I would love to know why. What has happened? What has changed? What did they miss? Who is BlackRock? Why is there additional money? Yada, yada, yada. These are things that should be asked by the council and the council meeting. I am not against the project. I'm not a real big fan of it. I really think you're going through a lot of private property. I think the use, maybe there's something else, but I think that it is just something that I'm not a big fan of. But that's tomorrow night, 6:30, Toms River Council meeting. I'll report on it on Thursday. I am Phil Brilliant. This has been Simply Brilliant. Hey, have a great day.